Okay, guys, I am super excited to welcome my next guest to Let's Get Freaky podcast. We got Tom with us this morning. How are you, sir?
All good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I say this morning because this is the earliest I've ever recorded, which is great.
Well, I'm a shift worker, man, so this is early for me too. Like,
Yeah. I'm a night worker, so I'm working all through the night normally.
yeah,
No, 10 a.m. It's a nice start.
it's okay, man. As well, yeah.
How are you? You all good? What part of the UK are you in?
I'm in a town in South Wales called Bridgend. Um, so yeah, it's kind of halfway in between Swansea and Cardiff.
Nice,
Just at the bottom of the valleys, really.
nice.
Yeah, man.
So where did it all start? The paranormal for you?
Well, I used to live in a town called Port Talbot. It's not far from here, like, so I think I moved here when I was like 8 or 9. But we lived in a really old house in Port Talbot, some old steelwork in town, and yeah, it was a really, really old house, kind of creepy, an old terrace, and I was, like I said, I was young there, so I didn't really understand it at the time, um, but I think the thing that stands out for me the most is when I used to go to bed. I used to have a little room at the back of the house, um, and I had my bed up against the wall, and I used to like toss and turn and everything like that. So when I used to like face the wall, I used to see these kind of fluorescent lights right in front of my face, kind of on the wall, if you know what I mean. It's
Wow.
kind of like a waterfall of lights, kind of bright red, bright yellow, bright blue, bright orange, bright green, right in front of my face. And of course, I was so young, I didn't really question what it was, like, So this used to happen pretty much every night, and yeah, it was just weird, really, really strange. And like I remember talking about it to my sister years later, and she used to see it in her room as well. Like so,
Oh,
like and
wow.
she was at the front of the house,
Okay. So all,
so
all
it's
the lights would be off and you just see these lights.
pitch black, yeah, pitch black, and I'd say it was like a foot or two away from my face, and just really bizarre. When I
Yeah.
think back now, I can't really figure out what it would be like
Yeah,
if it
man.
was anything natural or anything like that.
And was this happening every single night or was it every now and again?
Probably most nights, but it seemed normal, because I was so young. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah. It was something you just got used to happening and you didn't think too
Yeah,
much of it.
and I'd lay there just staring at it as well, just thinking like, oh, I wonder what this is like, but
Yeah.
never really freaked me out. But it was a super old house. We had other things happening in there as well. Like my parents used to come home from work, in the cold, dark nights in the winter, and like the curtains would be drawn. Um, my mum said that she like felt as if the kettle had been boiled. Just
Wow.
really like weird, just little, I don't know. But they always, like, I was talking to them years later. They always thought that there was a presence in the house.
So things were happening when no one was there.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing as well. This has happened when we were there as well. Actually, like when my sister was in school and my mum and myself were at home. I was too young for school at the time, and I was playing upstairs, with like toys, like race cars and stuff. And my mum would come upstairs and kind of pack my toys away, like, come on, we're heading, we're gonna have some food now, something downstairs. And she'd hear a noise upstairs, and all my toys would be back out on the floor as if someone had been playing with them as well. Like,
Wow.
I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
That's freaky, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever get the blame for getting them out again?
No, I didn't. No. So I was downstairs. And she was just like, "What's going on here? What is this?" But
Wow.
she had things to do. She had kids to look after and stuff. So she didn't really, she knew stuff was going on, but
Yeah,
just kind
man.
of went along with it.
So things were physically moving around the house as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, it was a super old house. Like I drive past it sometimes if I'm down that way, and like it just gives me the creeps a bit.
Yeah, man. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it wasn't like too negative, or did any bad things happen there, or was it?
No, no, nothing ever bad happened. It's like, don't know whether my mum kind of said later in life that whether it was like, I don't know, like a child or something. I don't know, or
Interesting.
even a family maybe. I don't know. I don't know because
Yeah,
someone obviously wanted to close the curtains or whatever.
yeah, man. It's interesting how you see like the colourful lights.
Yeah,
'Cause that
yeah,
could be like I don't know if a child wanted to, I don't know if it's showing itself to you somehow, but showing you
yeah,
the colourful lights.
yeah. It's a friendly kind of
Yeah,
thing, like not nothing too scary, no
yeah,
violence or anything.
yeah. The sort of ghost we like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If there is a ghost, you want it to be
Is
like
it?
that.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So have you seen any lights like that since, or was that just in that house when you was a kid?
Yeah, it was kind of exclusive to that house. But we moved to Bridgend, like I said earlier, when I was about 8 or 9, and my mum kind of thought like it came with us because we kind of had like nothing to that extent, but we'd always hear footsteps going up the stairs when we were downstairs. But we moved to this area in Bridgend where it was a lot of activity during World War II. Like there's a place called the Eight X's. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but they were like munition factories that would supply um, munition to the army and everything during World War II. So it was a lot of history in this area, but of course it was all like kind of built over and everything.
Yeah,
But the eight X's are still there. They're like 8 factories, like dotted around the area with like train lines connecting them and everything. So it was a great place to play as a kid, like, growing
yeah, I
up.
bet,
Like,
man.
really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
But there used to be like an old kind of industrial estate there, but it was all in tatters. And we used to call it the ghost town. So we used to play there when we were younger and everything. So there's a lot of history there, but we couldn't really put a finger on what it was.
yeah. So things were happening in that house as well.
Yeah, yeah. Someone would like, or something would kind of like strum the guitar strings randomly,
Oh wow.
yeah, just nothing too intense or too scary, but we all definitely thought that there was something there.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's physical. It's touching things, making noises.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Footsteps were like quite common.
Yeah. See that freaks me out, the footstep thing. When I hear footsteps and stuff, that I
Yeah,
find that pretty freaky, man.
yeah, me too. It's just like, what the hell are they doing? What is it like?
So did you see anything as a kid? Or was it all just obviously you saw the lights and stuff, but
Yeah, I never saw like an entity or anything. It was just those lights and the things that we'd hear and we'd find like after.
yeah, man.
But
It's interesting. Sorry.
sorry, mate, go on.
No, you go, man, you go.
No, I was just gonna say it's cool. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, man. I've heard people talk about lights in their room, and especially when you're a kid, like it's quite a
Mm.
common thing to see lights. It's just interesting to think what that could be. Obviously, it sounds like it's something trying to possibly communicate with you
Yeah,
in a friendly
yeah,
way.
yeah. It was definitely harmless, but it was just it's really hard to explain it. It's just kind of like a rotation of lights, kind of like face on to me. It was just
Yeah,
rotating, 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 and they never kind of moved or anything. It was just there, and then I'd fall asleep, and
Yeah,
they'd be
man.
gone when I wake up. Like,
Well, it's so interesting that your sister saw that as well. You
yeah,
both
I
seeing
know.
it in the same place.
Yeah,
Interesting stuff, man.
we'd often talk about it when we get together over Christmas and stuff as a family. Like we will, have a couple of drinks and then talk about the past and that. And like it just came up, and my sister was like, "Oh my god, I remember seeing them too." Like, and it was just like, "Whoa."
Wow. Yeah. Because obviously you know what you've seen, but then that's that confirmation as well.
Yeah,
Which is
and
nice
of
to
course
get.
she was at the front of the house as well. So if there was any chance of it being something coming through the window or something, like a light coming from the
Yeah.
window or something, but I don't know.
Interesting, man.
Yeah,
Very
really
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
So what other experiences have you had?
Um, when we moved to the second house, in my teenage years, I used to have a lot of sleep paralysis. Used to get that quite a lot, and yeah, it's I don't know if you've had it or whatever, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a horrible
Oh,
experience, isn't it?
man, it's terrifying, man. It is.
Yeah,
How
because
how was it for you, the sleep paralysis? What sort of things were you experiencing?
um, just kind of like my body would be asleep, but my mind would still be awake. Like you can't move, you can't even talk. The only thing I could do is like make a noise through my throat, kind of just like kind of moan to try
Yeah.
and I could hear that. And I'd often try and wake myself up doing that, but like it wouldn't really work because you can hear yourself, you just can't move.
Yeah.
But that used to happen to me a lot. But there was this one time that I saw um, something at the end of my bed, like a silhouette.
Oh
And
wow.
it's only years later that when I was hearing stories about the Hatman and hearing people describe what that silhouette effectively like of like a trench coat and a collar and like just like an old kind of hat that goes all the way around. And I just remember seeing that stood at the end of my bed and I'd being absolutely terrified, not being able to
Yeah.
move. And of course, there was like my door at the bottom of the bedroom was like a little bit of light peeking through, so it was like shining behind it, so it was really vivid. This kind of silhouette of this thing, but that only happened the one time,
Wow, man.
um, but absolutely terrifying. Like, it kind of the sleep paralysis kind of happened as I was going up into my 20s, and it's just like it hasn't happened in years now. So
Yeah. Good, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. That's good. Wow. So you saw the Hat Man.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It was definitely a silhouette of someone in like a trench coat and a hat just standing there.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's so interesting how so many people see that. Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just find that so amazing. Because I mean, was you was a kid when that happened?
I was in my like teenage years. It's kind of like I'd say like 14, 15 maybe.
Had you had heard of? Because I don't know about you, but the Hat Man's quite a new sort of thing to me.
Yeah, yeah. I've only heard about it the last year or two really, and it's only when I hear people's kind of stories of it, and I was like, oh my god, that's like it just resonated with me. I was like, that is exactly what I saw. Like, it's
Yeah, man.
really freaky, not really uneasy.
Yeah. When I first saw a shadow person, I'd never heard of shadow people either. Didn't know what that was.
Mm.
So
Same man, same. Yeah, it's again, it's only kind of the last couple of years. I don't know whether it's just people feel more comfortable talking about it as of late, or I don't know. It's just
yeah,
yeah, but there seems to be a lot of it around.
yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it's good that more people are talking about it.
Yeah,
So many people have experienced it as well. That's what I just find fascinating.
yeah.
So
But
many
I,
people.
but I guess there's more ways of coming forward and talking about it now, like because you've got podcasts like yourselves, um, and it's really interesting listening to people talking about this kind of thing. Like it's become like 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 I said, we work shifts and stuff. So like throughout the night shifts, I'm just like blasting loads of pods, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
scarier the better, really.
yeah, man. That's what I do.
Yeah,
It gets me through work listening to podcasts.
yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you saw the Hatman, how tall would you say it was? I know that might be a tough.
I wouldn't say it was super tall. Maybe about 5 foot. It wasn't kind of overpoweringly big or anything. It was just kind of at the edge of my bed, and say like my bed would be like halfway up of the shadow.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just, and it didn't move. It just stood there, until I finally kind of like scared myself so much, so I woke up. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
then it's gone. But I kind of read things about it, and the kind of thing that they tell you is that like it's a hallucination, whatever. But I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
don't know whether it is or not. It could be, but
Yeah.
it's.
I don't buy that anymore.
I don't either, mate. I don't either. Like
Too many people experience it, and without knowing what it is. So you've seen the Hatman. You didn't know what Hatman was when you saw that.
mm,
I mean, why would you? You know,
mhm,
if you was always watching films about the Hatman and then you saw a Hatman, I guess
yeah.
people could say maybe you was thinking about it subconsciously, but I just know from my experience as well. When I first saw a shadow person, I didn't know anything about shadow people. It's only recently
Mm.
that I've realised what it was.
What happened when you saw that then?
So I was. This is going back to when I was 21, and
Okay.
I just woke up during the night and there was someone standing over me. And it was obviously like how people explain the shadow people, blacker than the room. And I could just see the silhouette of a man just standing over me. And at the
Wow.
time, me and my brother shared a room, so I thought it was my brother. But I was so scared, like it freaked me out massively, and I just sort of took a swing at it, and it disappeared. And my brother was on the
Whoa.
other side of the room, and he's turned his light on. And was like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And I was like, "I thought you were standing over me," and it was just a weird moment.
Whoa.
And I just put it down to being stressed, tired. Didn't think. Well, it stayed with me obviously, but I just sort of
Yeah.
didn't put it down to anything. And then hearing people talking about it and
Mm.
talking about their experience with shadow people, I was like, "I've had that. I've experienced that. Waking up and seeing something that's darker than a room, silhouette of a man or
Mm.
whatever standing there, and
It's
it's
not
just
nice, is it?
nah, man, it's freaky." And I've had it twice recently where I've woken up and there's been something there.
Really?
I mean, touch wood, it's not too. I say recently; it's been a few months, but
Wow.
it,
It's
but
still recent, isn't it?
that was a completely different experience because I was still scared. It was still shocked me, but it
Mm.
wasn't like the fear that I felt the first time it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about this stuff all the time, so you could say that could be in my subconscious, and I can understand why people would say, "Oh, you're just thinking about it too much, and you're seeing
Mm.
things or whatever." But when I first see it, there was no reason for me to see that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet that was terrifying. Like, did you tell your brother about it, or anybody?
Yeah, I told my brother at the time that, and we just sort of put it down to I just got back from university. I'd probably been drinking the night before and had a rough night, so I probably just put it down to something like that, and didn't
Yeah.
think too much of it. I just remember being terrified at the time.
Yeah.
But
It's just that like morbidly fear, isn't it? And
yeah, yeah, it is.
because
It's
it's not natural to us at all, is it?
no, man, because I've had a lot of sleep paralysis as well throughout my life. Not so much recently. It's happened recently, but not. It used to happen every week where I used to live. So I know what that feels like as well, man. It's terrifying.
Yeah. It's just that overwhelming kind of it's intense fear, isn't it? I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
whether it's because you are awake and can't move, or it's just something doesn't feel right,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're not in control of the situation.
yeah, man. It is terrifying.
Yeah.
When it happened to you, was you falling asleep, or was you in a sleep state and then waking up to it, or how did it happen for you?
It was always before I fell asleep. It was never kind of I was asleep and then I'd wake up. It was always like I'd be struggling to fall asleep. I'd be there for ages and ages and ages, like tossing and turning. And it was just I'd kind of like drop into it. So like I would still be awake, but like I was my body was asleep.
Yeah, yeah,
Very bizarre. Yeah, it's like it hasn't happened in years for me now, but it kind of happened once or twice in my adult life, but never really like saw anything. It was just like I kind of make that grumbling noise and like I get
yeah,
punched in the arm to be woken up, like
yeah.
by the missus.
Could you feel it coming? Like, can you feel it before it happens?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like when you're halfway there, you like it's coming.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird because I've said it before on the show, but when it was happening to me, before I actually went into the sleep paralysis, I call it sleep paralysis. I'm not actually asleep. I'm awake.
Hmm.
The paralysis, I can feel a vibration,
Okay.
and I feel it going through my body, and it's quite a nice feeling at the
Yeah.
time. But I know what's coming. I know that I'm about to not be able to move and feel like
Whoa.
there's something in the room, and you know what I mean. So
That's interesting, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it's like a vibration just going through me. Vroom. Can't explain it, but it's a nice feeling. It's weird to
Yeah.
say a nice feeling, but
You know what's coming then,
I
don't
know what's
you?
coming. Yeah, and that's terrifying. And then that lasts however long it lasts. It's normally not too long for me, but it's like you're fighting. When I'm in that state, I'm fighting against something.
Yeah, yeah. You're doing everything you can to kind of snap yourself out of it.
Yeah,
Um, but you're fighting a losing battle because once you're in it, then, you
yeah, man. Yeah. And some people say it's like something to do with like stress, which it possibly is. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is really, but I've not had it in my new house. I've had it about 4 times, but I used to get it every week in my old place. But I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know why that is. I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
glad, touch wood. I'm glad I don't get
Yeah.
it as often, but yeah,
It's
man.
weird, though, isn't it? Perhaps it is something to do about the environment you're in, or I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those things you can't explain, like.
Yeah, man. Again, it's something so many people experience. That's
Yeah.
more people seem to be talking about now, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Man.
So, what else has happened? Any other experiences?
Um. Well, I mentioned to you about like I saw kind of this like I don't want to say dog man or whatever, but like I've seen something. Um, I think I was in my like mid 20s or something, and I had a phone call off a friend. He'd been out on a bender, met this girl, or whatever, and she was from Peterborough. So he asked me to take him and her back to Peterborough. So I was like, oh fuck, like this is a mission, or whatever. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's have a road trip. So we left like I don't know, what, 5 o'clock Sunday evening. So we were driving through the early night, and I missed my turn in off the M4. So like this was pre-sat nav, so we just had a map and stuff. So I missed my turn in off the M4, and we kind of took the country roads north. If I had to try and find this route, I definitely would not be able to. Like so, we were on this certain road, it's like it was like a B road, driving through. I'm assuming like it was like a forested area, so like trees both sides of the road, and there was kind of like grass in between the tree line and the road, and it was pitch black, just driving, like, and it seems like a never-ending road through this forest, and there's a split second that we kind of drove past something, and I was just like, I said to my mate, I was like, "Did you just see that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And it was just there was something on the side of the road, sitting up, kind of like again, like it only clicked years later because I've got a Siberian Husky, kind of like it's kind of like wolf looking,
Yeah.
and she was like sitting on her bed, like eating her food with her head down, if you know what I mean. And I was like, it just took me back to there. I was like, that's what I saw. I saw this kind of giant dog, kind of like
Wow.
sitting down, and it was like head down, like eating something.
Wow.
It was like kind of browny grey. Um, this grass in between like the road and the tree line, probably about a foot or two, and this thing was like a lot above this, like the top of the grass, and it didn't flinch. It didn't flinch when we drove past it. You know, it was only a split second, but like I'm pretty sure I saw some sort of like huge canine. Whether it was like a wolf or a cryptid, I don't know, but it was huge, absolutely huge.
Wow, man.
And yeah, we just kind of like it went as we drove past it, so like we literally saw it for a split second, and
Wow.
but it wasn't something that should be in the UK. You know,
Yeah.
we're not told that these things are in the UK. Like,
Wow, man. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it
Is
was
it?
cool. Like, like I like hearing about these stories and stuff. You know, now so super interesting. I love all cryptid stories and that. I think they're a lot more common than what we initially think or what we're being told. Like,
Yeah, man. But it's like with the shadow people and the sleep paralysis that we've been talking about, more people are talking about this sort of stuff, and more people have had experiences than we, as you said, as we first thought.
yeah,
So interesting, man.
perhaps it's like the podcast culture thing now. You know, like there's so many ways to reach out and talk to people.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
with podcasts as well, I think because I like to say you find your tribe. You put out your like people that are interested are going to come to it.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
so more people are finding each other that way, I guess,
Yeah,
and talking about their experiences where they might, like if you talk about it at work or whatever, you get ridiculed sometimes, and people go, ah,
yeah,
you didn't see that, or you didn't because they've not experienced it themselves or whatever.
yeah.
But with us guys that are here, we've all experienced something, or we
Hmm.
believe in it, so we're all together on it.
Yeah,
But that's cool, man. That is a
yeah,
really cool experience.
yeah. It was. If it happened to me again, if I could go back in time, I'd stop and go back and check it out.
Yeah,
But at the time, it was just like that was really weird. What was that? But like he saw it as well,
yeah,
and we were both equally kind of definitely saw something that was bizarre. You know, and it wasn't something normal. You know, it
yeah.
wasn't. I don't know, weird.
How long ago was this? Sorry.
This was probably about 13, 14 years ago. Like I'm 36 now. Um, yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe like 10, 11 years ago. Maybe a
Okay.
maybe a bit longer.
Interesting, man. And at the time when you first hear it, because the Dogman's quite a new thing as well that people are talking about.
Yeah.
We've had Sasquatch for a long time, but the Dogman is a new sort of.
Hmm.
So, did you know at the time that you possibly saw a Dogman, or did you think it could have been like some Bigfoot sort of creature, or
Um, I kind of thought it was initially. My first thought was a wolf, but like I said, when I saw my dog sit in that position, I knew for a fact. I was like, it was definitely canine esque. It was
yeah,
definitely that, definitely that. Because it took as soon as I saw my dog like sitting like that, it took me back, and I was like, that's exactly what I saw, but it's on a bigger scale.
because
But
in
yeah, like the dog man thing, like you said, it's quite. Um, back then, I'd obviously heard of Bigfoot and stuff, but like the Dogman and everything, it's only been the last couple of years really. So I
Yeah.
didn't assume anything, uh, but what you hear with Dogman entities is like or stories, encounters, they're never pleasant, do they?
No, no.
They're, they're always terrifying and they're
You
like
don't want to run into a
aggressive.
dog man. Yeah.
Nah, no way. No way.
No, man. But again, it's something here in the UK as well that is great. I know in America it's big. Here in the
Mm,
UK as well, a lot of people are seeing these things.
yeah. I like they've only come out now and said I think what was it earlier in the week that they came out and said big cats are in the UK now with
Yeah,
something to do with like the DNA or something.
that's it, man. Been saying
Yeah,
it for years, and they called us crazy,
yeah,
but it's fact now.
yeah, man. It makes sense though, no? Because I think was it the Exotic Animal Act or something, and like you had to pay a big tax on that, so people would just release them.
That's it. That's
I'm
it.
not
Yeah,
paying that.
yeah. Well, my mother, I've said this before on the show, but my mother-in-law and her sister both saw a black panther in Essex about
Whoa,
20 years ago, and she stands
whoa,
by it. Like she saw it, they both saw it,
yeah.
and it was just on the roadside. They drove past it, but they both saw it. And did you just see a big panther?
Mm.
And and it's not something that she talks about all the time, but I always talk about with her because I find it
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, it is fascinating, man.
But so and they've proved that they're there. So that's we've just got to prove the Dogman now and Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's coming, man. I'm sure it's
It
coming.
is
I don't know
coming.
how, but
It
you know,
is.
they are about like.
Yeah, man.
Mm,
So when you saw the creature that you saw,
mm.
I know you said your dog reminded you of the shape. Was it bigger than a lot bigger than your
Yeah,
dog?
a lot bigger, a lot bigger. I'd say
Wow.
easily twice or three times the size.
Wow, man.
um, I wish yeah, like I wish I could go back and like maybe obviously had the safety of the car, like I wouldn't get out and like,
Yeah,
but I wish I would have stopped or something just to, but it was just went past us.
yeah.
But
Well, it's
yeah,
probably good that you didn't stop. It's probably good that you didn't really.
yeah, yeah. If the car didn't make it flinch or anything, so it obviously didn't have any fear of the car or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, man. Because you'd think if you saw, just for example, if it was a wolf, which is mad anyway, if you see a wolf in Peterborough,
Yeah.
but you'd think a wolf would run, seeing the car lights,
Yes.
or you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Exactly, man. And it was a long straight road, so like it must have seen us come from a while back,
Yeah.
and it didn't flinch. It didn't move.
Did it look
Oh
up at you? Did it look in your direction?
no, no.
Wow.
It had his head down, whether it was like eating something,
Yeah.
just kind of sitting up, but with his head towards the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
So possibly eating a deer or something like that, or
Yeah. It was
oh
eating
man.
something like.
So you didn't actually see the eyes or anything like that, or
No, no,
oh man.
yeah. It was like the grass was obviously quite tall, but it was like towering above the top of the grass, and when his head was bent down also.
Yeah. Do you and your friend that saw it still talk about it now? And
I haven't seen him in a long time, but I'm sure he'd remember. I'm sure he'd remember, and I'm pretty sure we did mention it afterwards, and we were both certain that we saw something.
yeah, yeah, man. So interesting. And you say it was
Yeah,
like a browny grey color, did you say? Or
yeah, yeah. Kind of like a light brown, like kind of grey.
yeah,
But it would have been a perfect environment for it because we were driving through these woods for a long time, like and no street lighting, nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, just it could thrive there.
yeah. Because that's a lot of thing that people say. Like in the UK, we haven't got. People say about the forest in the UK. We've got loads of forests. We've got loads of space where something could
Yeah,
hide.
yeah, man.
Especially something that's advanced. And these things are
Hmm.
obviously clever.
Yeah, they're
They can.
intelligent.
So, I mean, there is a possibility there's stuff out there that can hide, basically.
Yeah, like you've got the built-up cities and everything, but in between there is countryside,
Yeah,
woods,
yeah,
forestries.
yeah, man.
There's a lot of places for it.
Most of the UK is green, isn't it? Most of the
Yeah,
UK. So there's
yeah,
a lot of places these things could hide.
yeah.
It's
Like, sorry, mate, go on.
no, sorry, you go, man.
I was talking to Deborah from the WhatsApp group,
Yeah,
the BDF, is it, and when I first started talking to her, she asked me where I was from, and I said South Wales, and she said about the Avon Forest Park. It's where it's only about half hour from where I live, and she said that there's been sightings of Sasquatch there. And I ride my bike through that forest and up in those mountains on my own as well. Like, so I was just like, whoa, like, and it's a vast place,
yeah, yeah,
and it's just caked in trees and hiking and bike trails. So like, I'm a bit thing about going in on my own now. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's dark and under the tree canopy. It's really dark in the middle of the day.
yeah, man.
So I fancy heading out there, but
Yeah,
it'll probably be in the daytime.
I would love to see a cryptid. Uh, any
Yeah,
cryptid will do.
yeah,
I'd love to see that, especially Bigfoot. Like that would be a dream. But
that's
obviously
the gem, isn't it?
a nice encounter. Obviously, like nothing
Yeah,
crazy. I
yeah.
don't need.
They kind of like, from what people are saying, like I don't think they mean harm, do they? Like, that's the
No,
kind of thing I'm getting.
yeah,
They
because
kind of,
these things are obviously super like intelligent and super
mm,
like that they can outskill us in anything. Like
yeah.
so, I'm sure they could just take us out easy if they wanted to. Like
Oh, 1,000,000%. You
yeah,
know, the size of them, the strength as well. You hear about how fast they can get from one place to another.
yeah, we've got
Um,
no chance, have we?
no,
If we're in
no,
their environment.
yeah, it would be awesome. Would be awesome. But yeah, it's trying to find someone who wants to try and find one as well. Like, I'd rather do it with
Yeah,
a group of people, maybe.
I'll come with you, man.
Let's
We'll
do
do
it.
it. We'll do
Let's
it.
do it, man. Let's
That
do
would
it.
be a dream.
Yeah,
Because the Bigfoot is that is another thing that more people in the UK are talking about as well.
yeah.
Spoke to a few people recently that have had sightings, that know people that have had sightings. It's something that people because obviously you say Bigfoot in the UK and people go, ah, there's no chance. But I mean, who knows? Why
Yeah.
not?
You
There's
can't say no, can you?
no. Loads of people have had experiences.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and if these things are, they say the woo, if they've got more um abilities that we can't understand, then maybe
hmm
there is a way that they can survive and, you
yeah.
know, maybe they are in another dimension and they can come in every now and again. I don't know. I'm just, it
Fascinating. It
is
is
fascinating,
fascinating.
man. It is.
Yeah.
So that creature that you saw, I know it's a difficult question, but if you had to say what it was, flesh and blood or something else, what would you say?
Um, I kind of, I am in the woo camp of cryptids. Well,
Yeah.
some cryptids like the Bigfoot, possibly Dogman. But that was eating something. So I don't know. I don't know. That it seemed physical. I'm not saying like it can't be interdimensional and physical. But that, I don't know, mate. I don't know. It seemed flesh and blood.
Tough
That did.
question. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be a bit of both. Like they could be flesh and blood and they need food, they need to drink,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But there might be another side to them that we just can't understand yet for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's got to be something in that camp. I'm not sure, obviously, but
We're
when
only exposed to these things where, like, if you can't see it, it's not real. You know, we've kind of been indoctrinated
Yeah.
to only believe what we see and to believe what we're told. So there's probably things out there that we don't like, we can't fathom, we don't understand.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer. We are getting closer to it, like because there's people putting a lot of time and effort and money into researching these topics,
Yeah, man.
and I think it's a matter of time, man, before we do learn a lot more about these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
Hopefully,
people are talking about it more. It's definitely out there so much more than it was.
yeah,
And that is just bringing more people together. And there's a lot of people that sit on these experiences. They have these experiences and they don't tell anyone. You know,
mm,
I understand why people don't want to talk about it sometimes, because you do get people that sort of ridicule you and stuff. But
hmm,
the more people come out and talk about it and say, yeah, I saw this, you know,
yeah,
that's what it was. I know what I saw. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think maybe as well as like people who do experience it, like they don't want to admit that maybe that they have seen something that's like outside their realm of reality, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
it's to accept that it's a scary thing, isn't it?
It changes everything because it opens
Yeah,
the door to everything, doesn't it?
it does, mate. It does. Changes
Yeah.
everything we know or everything we think we know.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Especially for people that like to be in control and like to sort of know everything. They
Yeah.
can't stand it. They're like,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and I
yeah,
get it. I do get it, because we all want the answers. But
yeah,
as you say, I think we're getting closer.
yeah, man. Yeah. I'm also the person that was like, I want to know more about this. I want to be like, I want my mind to be blown. Like, you know, I want to.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to it, I'm not kind of afraid to talk about it or afraid to hear other people's stories as well. Like, you know, because I'll if they tell me something, I'm like, I believe you. Like, you know, I
Yeah, man.
definitely believe
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff, brother.
Yeah.
So have you had any other experiences or anything like that?
No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, man.
Have you seen UFOs or anything that's
Never seen UFOs. Fascinated with UFOs.
yeah.
Fascinated with it. Again, man, whether it's nuts and bolts or whether they're interdimensional, I'm kind of it's a weird one because like through Hollywood, even like for, you know, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, we've been told that these aliens come on spacecraft from different planets and stuff. I think that's part of the kind of indoctrination, because disclosure is kind of coming, isn't it,
Yeah.
slowly?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they want us to think that it's going to be like nuts and bolts ships from other planets. Um, but then it's like how they want us to believe that, and it just so happens it's a massive coincidence that Hollywood has predicted. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
all these films, it's like, what's the
Everything.
chances of that? You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I
It's like
kind of
they
sorry,
let
Tom.
they let us know what's coming, basically.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like
Or that's what they want us to think is coming.
yeah, that's what they want us. I'm in that boat. I am. They want us to
Yeah.
believe this is what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's like deep state kind of tech or um, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
The
I
project.
kind of like the interdimensional aspect of the UFO thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would make it'd make a lot of sense as well, that they're always there. We just can't always see them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen UFOs as well, so I've seen
Have
stuff
you?
in the
Yeah.
sky that I can't explain. Yeah, man.
Wow.
But I'm always looking.
Yeah, same man. My
Uh,
head's always up at night.
yeah. Like a couple of nights ago, it wasn't a UFO, but I was taking the bins out. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was
Mm.
like, I'm gonna have a little look, see if I can see anything. And it wasn't a UFO. It was the Starlink just went past.
Ah,
And I
okay.
was like, oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, it's interesting though because
Yeah.
there are things up there, moving about. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot going on up there. And as I say,
yeah.
I have seen UFOs that I can't explain. Uh,
Wow, that's
so
cool though.
I love it all, man. I find it all so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Are
But
you
we are
are you familiar with the Bledsoe family or the Bledsoe story?
no, what's that?
Oh, it's really interesting. Like, there's a family in the US, and they get these light entities on their property, and they still come in now. Like the father, I think he's in his like 60s or everything now. He films them and puts them up on his Instagram most days. But it's a long story. Basically, like he was a businessman, and then everything went kind of tits up for the business, and he had like a really bad illness and everything. And he was out fishing one evening, and he had a massive breakdown, and he like basically asked for help. He was like, I need help. I'm dying. But, I'm failing in every way. And something reached out to him, like, and from that moment on, they've been kind of in contact, not kind of like talking, but they've been coming to his property, and he like just these balls of energy, like coming and going and coming and going.
Wow.
And um, he's had a so where you like get hypnotized. So is it a digression or something
Um,
like that?
oh, I know the word.
It's
Uh,
on tip of my tongue. But like, yeah, he gets
um,
hypnoptized to talk
regression.
about,
Is it
what's it?
regression? Is it regression?
Regret. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it, man. God,
You got there, man.
too early for those words, man.
I know, I know. I need another coffee.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's super interesting. I haven't done that story any justice at all. Like, but if you get a chance,
Oh, that's
man,
cool,
check
man.
it out. It's
Did you
really
say
cool.
he's documenting this on Instagram? Did you say?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
that's
send you the link to his page now after, okay?
yeah,
And super
sweet.
interesting.
Yeah. So
He's got
when
his own podcast. It's called Bledsoe Said So,
okay, cool,
and
man.
they're all about kind of the spiritual side of things, like the esoteric aspect of things,
Wow.
and super interesting. It actually, when when it first came out that these things were coming to the property, they kind of contacted, or they were contacted by the American government,
Wow.
and they're still in contact with them now. Um, and the Discovery Channel came out, did like a documentary on it, but at the end of the documentary, they kind of like shafted the outcome, so it made it look like they were lying.
Really?
So they've got huge trust issues with the mainstream kind of thing of it. So they decided the son, Ryan, and I think his best friend Nick, they're doing like a podcast now, kind of taking you from the start to
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, it's really interesting, man. Like,
Interesting,
really,
man. I'll have to check that out.
yeah,
And it's interesting that the documentary channel have tried to disclosure.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. They
Like,
kind of,
why would they do that? But I know they do it. Stuff like that happens. I know. Like,
yeah, because they they made the father Christopher take like a lie detector test. Did it? They asked him these questions over and over and over and over again, and he passed every time. And like I think after about 3 or 4 hours, one he failed one question, and that's what they put out on the TV
wow.
show. So it made them look like they were
Yeah.
crazy
That's the
just to
problem, man.
debunk it.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You can't always trust the TV, man.
No, man.
Uh,
No.
I don't even watch the news anymore. I don't trust anything on the telly.
Dude, yeah. I literally like they if they say to do something, I literally think or do the opposite now.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
trust them at all.
yeah, man. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So when these beings make contact, how did they make contact? Was it through
It was like
lights, did you say?
through initially it's like balls of energy coming down. And I think uh, one transformed into like a white woman who I can't remember the name of her now, but the name went back to like ancient Egyptian kind of mythology and super interesting. Like it's been a while since I've listened to the story, so it's a little bit vague in my memory. Like,
Yeah.
but they can't. She came to the father Christopher and said he was like he's the chosen one or something like that.
Wow.
And apparently he can communicate with these energy lights, but they come and go, they pass through, and I think they must like manifest physically into something like the White Lady or something like that.
Interesting,
Super
man.
interesting. I'll
Thank
pass it on to you after the show, man, and
Yeah.
check it out.
Thanks very much, man.
You're good.
Tom, this has been absolutely awesome, man. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, meeting you.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much. That's been for
Thank
me
you
too.
very much. We need to go out. We need to look for Bigfoot and the Dogman together. That's something we can
Let's
do.
sort it out, bro. Let's
Let's
sort it,
do it.
man.
Let's go to Peterborough. And I'd
Yeah.
love to go back to the spot that you saw.
I'll have to try and remember the route I took, man, because obviously I went there by mistake, so I'll have to try and figure it out. Like,
Before we go, I've just thought of another question. I'm sorry, I do this a lot. I think of a question.
okay.
That area that you saw the possible Dogman,
Hmm.
is it an area that's known? Has anyone else seen the Dogman in that area or anything in that area? Is there any other reports? Would you know
I,
of?
I wouldn't know, bro. I wouldn't know. Like, this is it's an area from not where I'm not around, where I'm not from. I haven't been around in. But it's something I'm gonna look into actually.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Deborah. Deborah
Yeah,
Hatswell,
yeah,
she will know.
yeah. She will know, man. She will
She's
know.
got an amazing list of uh encounters that have happened in the UK. So she'll know, won't she?
Her map is incredible, dude. Her map
Yeah,
is
man.
incredible. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. I advise
She
anyone
will.
to check that out. Because yeah, as you say, it's in there's so much that's happened in the UK that she's got on
Mhm.
record.
Yeah,
It's very interesting stuff.
yeah.
Tom, thank you so much, brother. Can you tell the audience where they can find you?
Okay. Tommy Bevs on Instagram. Tom Bevan on Facebook. That's pretty much it.
Awesome stuff, brother. You
Nice
enjoy the
one.
rest of your day, and I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your stories.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you.
I'll see you later. Okay.
Just going to stop recording, brother.